Have you ever wondered what it would be like if you could just lock the doors and hide from the world's problems? What if you were a prince, with all the wealth and power you could imagine, and a deadly plague was sweeping your land? Would you try to save your people, or would you save yourself? This is the chilling question at the heart of Edgar Allan Poe's masterpiece, The Masque of the Red Death. Our story begins in a kingdom gripped by terror. A horrifying disease, the Red Death, is ravaging the populace. Its symptoms are gruesome. Sharp pains, sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding from every pore, staining the victim's bodies scarlet. From the first symptom to death, the whole process takes a mere half an hour. It's a swift, merciless end. But Prince Prospero, the ruler of this land, is a man who believes he can outwit fate. He's described as happy, dauntless, and sagacious. While his subjects perish, he decides to defy the plague. He gathers 1,000 of his healthiest and most light-hearted friends from the knights and dames of his court. With this chosen company, he retreats to the deep seclusion of one of his castellated abbeys. This was no ordinary fortress. It was a magnificent, fortified structure, a creation of the prince's own eccentric and grand taste. Once all his guests were inside, they brought in furnaces and massive hammers and welded the bolts of the iron gate shut. They were determined to leave no way in and no way out. The world outside could take care of itself. Inside, they had everything they could possibly desire. There were jesters, poets, dancers, musicians, beauty, and wine. All these and security were within. Without was the Red Death. For 5 or 6 months, the party raged on. The prince and his guests lived in a bubble of blissful denial, a fantasy world sealed off from the suffering just beyond their walls. And then, one day, Prince Prospero decided to hold a masquerade ball of the most unusual magnificence. This was to be the ultimate celebration of their defiance, a testament to their victory over fear. The ball takes place in an imperial suite of 7 rooms, arranged in a peculiar and winding fashion so that you could only see one room at a time. Each room was decorated in a single, dominant color. The first was blue, the second purple, the third green, the fourth orange, the fifth white, and the 6th was violet. But the seventh room was different. This final chamber was shrouded in black velvet tapestries that hung from the ceiling and covered the walls, even draping over the carpet. But the windows in this room were not black. They were a deep blood red. The effect was ghastly. The light filtering through the scarlet panes made everyone who entered look grotesque and unnatural. Few of the guests were bold enough to set foot within this last, ominous room. Adding to the eerie atmosphere of the 7th chamber was a gigantic clock of ebony that stood against the western wall. Every hour, it would strike with a deep, resonant chime that was so peculiar and loud that it would silence the orchestra and bring the entire dance to a halt. The waltzers would stop spinning, the musicians would pause, and an uneasy stillness would fall over the crowd. The most light-hearted among them would turn pale, and the older, more thoughtful guests would pass a hand over their brows, as if in a confused daydream. But as soon as the echo of the chime faded, a light laughter would ripple through the assembly. The musicians would look at each other and smile, as if at their own nervousness, and swear that the next time the clock struck, they wouldn't be so foolishly affected. And yet, when the next hour came, the same pause, the same unease, and the same moment of reflection would grip them all. Despite this, the masquerade was a vibrant and spectacular affair. The prince had a unique eye for this sort of thing, and the costumes were a bizarre collection of beautiful, grotesque, and phantasmagorical figures. It was like a dream, a fever dream, moving to the rhythm of the orchestra through the 6 colored rooms. But no one, not a single guest, dared to venture into the black room, where the blood-red light and the looming ebony clock created an atmosphere of pure dread. The party continues. The music swells, and the wine flows. The clock chimes 9, 10, and 11. Life inside the abbey is a whirlwind of pleasure, a desperate attempt to forget the death that reigns outside. And then, the clock begins to strike midnight. As the 12th chime begins to sound, the music stops, the dancers freeze, and the usual uneasy silence descends. But this time, something is different. Before the last echo of the final chime has faded into silence, the crowd becomes aware of a new presence. A masked figure they had not seen before has appeared among them. Whispers turn to murmurs of surprise, then disgust, and finally, of terror. The figure is tall and gaunt, and shrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. The mask that conceals its face is made to look so much like the stiffened face of a corpse that even the closest scrutiny couldn't tell the difference. But this wasn't what truly horrified the partygoers. The costume might have been tasteless, but in this wild masquerade, it might have been accepted. What made everyone shrink back in horror was that the guest had gone too far. The figure had assumed the likeness of the Red Death itself. Its robes were dabbled in blood, and its broad brow and face were sprinkled with the hideous scarlet horror. When Prince Prospero lays eyes on this spectral guest, he is first seen to be convulsed with terror. Then, in the next moment, with rage. "Who dares?" he demands. In a hoarse voice, "Who dares insult us with this blasphemous mockery? Seize him and unmask him, that we may know whom we have to hang at sunrise from the battlements." The prince is standing in the blue room, but the mysterious figure is far away at the other end of the suite. At the prince's command, a group of courtiers rush forward to seize the intruder, but the figure begins to walk, slowly and deliberately, through the crowd. And as it passes, an unexplainable awe overcomes the guests, and no one dares to lift a hand to stop it. It moves uninterrupted, with the same solemn, measured step from the blue room to the purple, from the purple to the green, from the green to the orange, and on to the white. It's only when the figure reaches the violet room that Prince Prospero, maddened by his own cowardice and shame, finally acts. Shouting, he draws a dagger and rushes through the 6 chambers in pursuit. The figure, having reached the end of the violet room, turns to face him. A sharp cry rings out, and the dagger drops from the prince's hand. In the next instant, he falls dead upon the black carpet of the 7th room. His own guests, now driven by the courage of desperation, surge into the black chamber to confront the mysterious man. They grab at the figure, whose tall form stands erect and motionless in the shadow of the ebony clock. But as their hands close upon it, they gasp in unutterable horror. There is nothing there. The grave cerements and the corpse-like mask are there is no tangible form beneath the costume. And now, the presence of the Red Death was acknowledged. It had come like a thief in the night, and one by one, the revelers dropped in the blood-bedewed halls of their revel, and died each in the despairing posture of his fall. The life of the ebony clock went out with that of the last of the gay, and the flames of the tripods expired, and darkness and decay, and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. Poe's story is a powerful and timeless allegory. Prince Prospero and his friends believed they could use their wealth and privilege to build walls against reality, to seal themselves off from suffering and death. They created a world of artificial pleasure. But the one thing they could not escape was time, marked by the relentless chiming of the ebony clock. And in the end, death came for them all, not from the outside world they feared, but from within their own sanctuary. It's a haunting reminder that no one, no matter how powerful, can escape their own mortality. Death is the great equalizer. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the dark and brilliant mind of Edgar Allan Poe. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe for more classic tales, and let me know in the comments what you think the Masque of the Red Death means to you. Until next time, stay curious.